So James is going to talk about Amazing Journey, the story of the Who. And we're going to talk about Lake George a little bit at first. And we're doing this while we're pitting cherries. So,
and it's maybe appropriate because these shows are kind of like pits.
Yeah, those ones were. Well, I don't know. I found Lake George to be entertaining enough.
Well, entertaining in this kind of way, like they're doing the actually horror movie thing,
Yeah.
which is doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. I'm not going to tell you whether it ends up like a horror movie or not. But
yeah, because the whole way along you're like, no, don't do that. That's not what you do. And
so this is for pits. You've got something for pits there too?
I'm just going to chuck them back into the bed.
Okay, so I'll have this for pits, this for pitting.
No.
Okay. Just getting things straight here, folks.
Yes, we're trying to keep ourselves as comfortable and
efficient.
Yeah. So I don't need my hat either because it's nice and shady here. So this is going to work out just ducky.
Okay.
So what do you want to talk about? Lake George
Let's talk
first?
about Lake George. You introduce it and stuff like that. I'll have enough to say about it.
So Lake George is a, would you call it a thriller, James?
Yeah, it's a thriller. It's not that thrilling, but
yeah,
it's supposed to be a thriller.
So a guy is hired to kill a woman. Not really hired. He doesn't want to do it. He's an accountant. Yeah, he's forced into it, and the woman then says, "Oh, that guy's a liar and whatever," and she convinces the guy not to kill her. Well,
now the guy is a mobster. It looks like. Right?
Yeah, but an accountant, so he's not.
No, what I mean is the guy who's arranging the killing.
Oh yes,
it's a mob killing. And mobs usually don't operate this way. Contract killing, oftentimes the folks from out of town.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to track them, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so anyway, it's this, it's a lot of adventure, because she's like, oh, I'll get you money, lots of money. He has so much money, and I know where it all is, and da-da-da-da-da. And
not just money, gold.
Yeah. So she's taking him around, and they're pilfering the mobsters' stashes, and
he must have had a ton of stashes, because these stashes are not well guarded.
No. And so the whole time we're thinking, this just wouldn't, there'd be people there or whatever, and like she says at the one, well, he doesn't have cameras, because why would he want to record the things that he does and whatever. So okay,
yeah, who's going to do something about it? It's not though he's recording stuff for the police. Of course he'd have cameras. This is like the
and even if he didn't have cameras, the cameras are like police officers, like we're seeing with what was it, Daniel Smith canceled out the traffic cameras or something like that, the speed cameras, and the police are they're short of funding or whatever, and it's like, yeah, because now they're having to do the job that all of those thousands of cameras or whatever were doing.
And guess what? They won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful for Danielle Smith, because
and the rest of her speeders.
Her constituency, i.e. people who would vote for her, are crumb-bum speeders and stuff like that. They don't really believe in the rule of law. The law is for everyone else, not for them. Thank you. So,
anyway.
They believe in freedom, which is people who believe in freedom, like the free dumb truckers, they don't, they eventually go for a dictatorship, right? This freedom for themselves, and then all of a sudden a dictatorship gets in, and then they find out that their freedoms are really constrained. Dictatorships don't put up with people not obeying the law.
Anyway, so all the way along, you're watching the movie and going, this wouldn't happen. This guy would have more security and this and that,
The bad guy.
whatever, and nobody would stay with this woman, like whatever.
I wouldn't trust her, and was the trust um, worth it? Spoiler alert, no.
No.
Eventually she deserts him and takes almost all the cash and gold, and really she's the one who
Yeah. So
didn't
we
just
should have
know
given.
about it. She's the one who actually got the stuff too. He was just kind
Yeah,
of
he
traipsing
was kind of along for the ride, which
kind of like a bump on
so
the log
whatever.
going down
But
the river.
but he's not well off at the end, and worse yet is, I mean, you could say, oh well, some really bad guys were cleansed from this world of this fictional world of this movie, but she's left, and
Yeah.
I mean, he's dropped off a bunch of money. They were going to split the money. He's dropped off a bunch with his ex-wife. Well,
I don't think it's much more than 60,000. Who knows?
Well,
Anyway,
it
maybe it
seemed to
was-
be a big stash.
Maybe she got the gold and he took the money. I don't know.
Well,
It
I
was
don't
a
know,
big
but
briefcase
in any
full or
case,
whatever.
she didn't leave him with. She left him with one bar of gold, which
Mm.
would have been $60,000.
Something like that, yeah.
They were saying. So
It doesn't go very far nowadays.
no, but in any case, you think, well, at least he gave his ex-wife some stuff, and so his kids and wife. Well, no, because that bad woman that he's been tagging along with, she knows where the money is. If she wants more, and she would always want more.
Well, she was living a high life, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was driving a Porsche. And
Yeah, so she was hanging and maybe banging with
the mobster
bad
boss.
guys.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway.
And I hesitate to call it a thriller because it's really slow paced.
Yeah.
So something, well, well, spoiler alert, they kill the
You
mob
already
guy.
gave us
Yeah,
a spoiler
they
alert.
kill, well, it's all the way along, folks.
Yeah.
They kill the mob guy. They're sitting in his compound in a car.
That the guy has bought for them, so they know the car is known to the other bad guys,
The other mobsters.
guards or whatever.
Yeah, no, there theoretically was only one guard there, and how likely is that? But anyway, they're sitting discussing where they will go. Now
Yeah.
they're both pretty dumb, especially him. But even a dumb person, once they've killed a mobster belongs to a mob. They'd be out of that compound like a bat out of you-know-where.
Yeah.
And it's not like a bat out of the bat cave. That went pretty fast too. But the bat cave.
Yeah.
So they're sitting here, discuss. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like they'll get a drop on a bad guy. The bad guy's edging towards them, and it's just slow. The guy, you can't do it. Okay, yeah. I'd have a hard time shooting someone, but these are really bad guys. I wouldn't bat an eye. I would press that trigger and keep pressing, But it's the horror movie thing. There's at least once where he shoots a guy and walks away. Well, he kind of
he
like
only
limps
shoots
away.
that one person.
Yeah, but he limps away, doesn't even look back.
It
He
was
shoots him
her.
in the leg.
Who did the killing?
I know, but he didn't kill the guy, but he shot the guy in the
No, yeah.
leg. He's leaving the guy out to die in the desert somewhere in Southern California. And he walks away, doesn't even hear the guy like shuffling after him. And the guy takes him down. They're struggling for the gun. The putative good guy, he's not very good. He's done, 10 years in jail for some sort of fraud or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He shoots himself in an attempt to shoot this one bad guy, and then he knifes the bad guy. Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
Something like that. So he does kill that bad guy, I think. and but spoiler alert now, he heads to Lake George, and it's kind of like his heaven. And at the last scene shows her, he's gazing out Lake George, all of a sudden she appears in the screen, and you go, yeah, this is a hallucination or whatever.
Yeah.
And the last scene has him staring out, well, it's just the scene of Lake George, the face has disappeared. You actually don't see him, his dead eyes staring out, but he's a goner. I mean, he's a long way from a hospital. He might have been saved, and stuff like that. But if you turn up to a hospital with a gunshot wound,
You got some explaining to do.
you got explaining to do, and they'll be checking with the police. Anyone involved in a little bit of gunplay, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but really slow-paced and really stupid people. It's hard to cheer for either. Well, it's impossible, really, because they're both bad guys. They're not the worst guys or gals in the whole thing, but yeah. So it's an unthrilling thriller, and it's not thrilling in any number of ways, and stuff like that.
But Lake George,
it's nice view.
Or wherever that was actually.
Yeah, it probably
filmed,
doesn't exist, but
was breathtaking. It was a
wonderful view. Yeah.
Beautiful heaven.
It's I guess a nice, like what was it? One of the guys in Little Big Man says, "Oh, it's a nice day to die," or something like that. Well, that was a nice place to die, I suppose.
Yep.
A vision like that in your eyes.
Mhm.
I don't think that guy would be living in any place like that we might, or some people might style as heaven. Who knows? I don't think he deserved to go there. Of course, there are a lot of people who deserved, in that movie, who deserved to be the briquettes down in hell, being burned up to burn other people.
But anyway, so we gave the whole story away because
it's not worth watching,
it's
folks.
not worth watching.
Well, our recounting, disjointed as it may have been, is perhaps a more thrilling recounting of
Yes.
what actually happens. And it was way longer than probably any movie review deserves to be. But it was actually, folks, mercifully brief.
Yeah, I mean, you could just fast forward it all to the end to watch like his scene of
Lake George. I was going to say Lake Charles.
Yeah, because that was actually really pretty, and
Yeah,
it was a good ending for
Yeah.
because she's not really there,
No.
and he is really dying.
He's really not going to be there in spirit in a few moments. Oh, there we go. Now, shall I
Launch into the Who.
launch into the Who?
Yeah, so a few
You
days
rendered your
ago
impressions.
we reviewed, mostly James reviewed the Who's Next. It was a DVD.
Yeah, classic albums thing.
Yeah.
And I
And
don't know
it
if
was
I
actually
it
pretty
was
good.
actually reasonably good, but
They did a good
how
job.
can you go wrong? They did actually have some music there. It was a considerably shorter DVD, I think, but they had. It was nice to see some people who had never seen pictures before, like Chris Stamp, one of the Who's two early managers. Brother, I'm told, of Terence Stamp, a British actor, a lot better looking than his brother. Fairly well preserved, considering it looked as though he was a smoker back in the day. Really knew how to dress, I'm telling you. Nice snappy tie, maybe even a snappier shirt. Pants not so snappy, but generally they were just filming from the waist on up. Now that sounds almost like a Who song, but it's actually dreaming from the waist on down. Dreaming from the waist down, something like that. A Who song from, I believe, 1974 or 75. Who by numbers. Anyway, your impressions of the thing?
Well,
You're saying not as good as the Who's Next classic album video?
you notice that I put The Amazing Journey, the story of the Who, under Lake George.
Now I
So
enjoy.
that is how much I enjoyed the Who, the story, the amazing journey, the story of the Who. It's not worth watching as far as I'm concerned. It was bad.
No, so that's coming from someone who's not a Who fan, but I wouldn't
I'm not
characterize
a
Paul.
Who's fan though.
Exactly
What
right.
I said, as I said
That's
it
what
before.
I was going to say. I think
I'm
Pauline
just-
feels pretty well neutral about
yeah,
it. Doesn't
I
hate their stuff.
respect things about the band. It's just not generally stuff I would listen to. But
Well-
I'm not into rock and roll.
No.
So
And when it comes to rock and roll, like Robert Christgau, a rock and roll reviewer from way back when, might still be around, became quite idiosyncratic and maybe even eccentric fairly early on. But one time he was quoted in Rolling Stone album review or something like that. Here's what he said. Something to the effect that to say you do not like the Rolling Stones is to express a strange foible of taste. It's to say you don't like rock and roll yourself. Well, that applies in spades. Sorry, Robert Christgau, and any people out there who actually think in the long term the Rolling Stones have turned out a more impressive oeuvre than the Who.
oh, definitely not. The
You'd
Rolling
say
Stones,
that
like
about
I would,
the Who.
I am not a fan of either, and not a fan of either, whatever. But the Who is certainly worthy of much more respect than the Rolling Stones.
It's not even close.
It's not
One
even
time
close.
Pauline asked me, I know the Beatles are your favorite group. What's your second favorite group for rock actor? I had to think, and I was thinking actually about the Byrds, but they just didn't last long enough, and they had a really weird release record. In other words, some of the best stuff I know because they re-released their earlier albums, at least on CD, and they had bonus discs. I'm going, what? Stuff that was produced for the sessions for their first album, second album particularly, third album, that was better than anything on those albums with the exception of 8 Miles High. But after a little bit, and it wasn't actually that much thought, I just said the Who. I didn't say the Rolling Stones. I didn't say this. I didn't say Led Zeppelin. That's it. Sort of stuff. I know a guy who writes poetry, real poetry, here in town, and he loves music. And I asked him. I said, "Well, surely you must like Led Zeppelin." Kind of like it wasn't quite that, positive or whatever. Well, you like Led Zeppelin, right? Because their stuff is composed, so on and so forth. Stairway to Heaven is just one example. And he said, yeah, big trouble is there's the lyrics. And all I said was, yep. It wasn't yeah or anything like that. It was just, yep. You close your mouth when you say yes, and there's no more to be said once you say that P. It's just on to the next subject. Well, the Who actually had some occasional lyrical things. Now, I have to say, almost in prefatory manner, before I launch into my diatribe against the documentary, that as opposed to the Byrds thing, I don't think they had the last Byrds thing I reviewed, or that we reviewed, they had no rock and roll critic. Amen to that. I don't want at least to listen to rock and roll critics.
No,
They
honestly, I don't anymore either. They seem to be idiots.
Yep.
I don't know why, because if you get a job as a critic, surely you should have some sort of
writing ability, knowledge of what you're talking about.
Exactly.
When you're writing, you should have an appreciation for lyrics. And these bozos, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, like it's
It
good
seemed
beat, and I
like they
can dance
didn't
to it.
even.
I love it. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, whatever. Like this, the story of the Who. They'd play a little bit of one hit,
Yeah.
like 100 times or something. So I'm
Okay.
exaggerating, but
But it
a
might be almost
lot.
a half a dozen times for their first big hit, and it's kind of like their signature tune because it has that enduring line and one that Pete Townsend has been trying to live down ever since. So I think it's 1966. Hope I die before I get old. And I'm sure he doesn't feel that way now. I hope he's still alive. He's maybe 10 years older than I am, maybe a little bit more, but we'll say 10. So he's got to be in his early 80s. And he wants to survive, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, they didn't have the rock and roll reviewers. They did have way too many of them, way too stupid. But they're kind of doing reviewing when they are cutting out songs.
Yeah.
So these guys, I don't know what their background is. It'd be the producer, director, whatever. They seem like folks who just have generic music. You know how you're having a good time music that maybe involves some older folks, and all of a sudden you hear, "Wouldn't it be nice if?" And then all of a sudden they fade it out. Not entirely. It's going on in the background, and there might be a wedding party going on or something like that, and they
Yeah.
don't care about the music.
So
It's some
exactly.
little
So
triggering thing.
they're showing, or they give a little clip of a Who song that they can talk over,
Yeah.
and so it's just a little. It's